Hello and welcome to another 9-minute Bible study. Our starting point is the book of Matthew chapter 16 and verse 13. And let's read the verse. When Jesus came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, he answered his disciples saying, "Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" And they said, "Some say that you are John the Baptist, some Elias, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets." He saith unto them, "But whom say ye that I am?" When we're starting here today, Jesus had just pulled his disciples off the road for a time of private teaching, away from the multitude, away from the crowd. His first question, who do the multitude think that I am? They gave the names of some of the Old Testament prophets. Following the logic of Jesus' question, the multitudes thought that Jesus was just another one of the Old Testament prophets. They did not think he was the Christ. They did not think he was the Son of God. Jesus then followed up by asking his disciples, "Who do you think that I am?" It is Simon Peter in the next verse that said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Jesus responds that Peter did not know this because anyone told him. He knew this because, what? My Father, which is in heaven, revealed this to you. Here's how it works. The Holy Spirit reveals to us what God the Father wants us to know. In this case, the Holy Spirit is revealing to Peter the information that God the Father wanted him to know. In this case, Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. It works this way also in this age of grace. We know what we know about the Bible. We know what we know about the things of God, because the Spirit has revealed these things to us. Now, Jesus, he is going to talk to this group not as a group who thinks he's another prophet. He's going to talk to this group as a group who knows who he truly is, the Christ, the Son of the living God. Verse 18. "And I say also unto thee that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it." Let's follow the logic of what Jesus said. The first part, it was directed to Peter and his future ministry. The rest of this is being directed to the church. This is the first revelation of the church in the New Testament. Jesus said, "Upon this rock I will build my church." The rock is the foundation. And the foundation is not Peter, because the word Peter translates basically out to little stone. This translates out to Jesus being the rock, being the foundation of the church. "Upon this rock I will build." The I being Jesus. Jesus will build. Jesus is the builder. My church. Jesus is the owner of the church. So upon this rock, foundation Jesus, Jesus will build his church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. So what do we see here? We see that Jesus, he is the foundation of the church. He is the owner of the church. He is the builder of the church. And he is the operator of the church. Now follow along with me. Let's go to the book of Matthew chapter 7. The book of Matthew chapter 7. And we're going to start with verse 24. It says, "Therefore, whosoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. I'll read verse 25 as well. And rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded upon a rock. Let's go back to verse 24. Let's go through this slowly. Whosoever hears these sayings of mine and does them. We are talking about those who hear the teachings of Jesus, and then those who do what Jesus tells them to do. Let's connect this to where we have been. What did we see? We saw Jesus saying, upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. What did we see earlier? You are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Peter said that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. Then Jesus reveals the church to his followers. So let's follow this logic here. We as believers in Jesus, what do we believe? First and foremost, that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. This is the rock. This is the foundation on which the church is built. Jesus is the rock. This is his first saying, and this is the foundation for everything else that's going to follow. Now, it's one thing to say it. It's another thing to do them or actually believe in what Jesus is saying. What separates the believers? In the case where we started with the disciples who was with Jesus away from the multitude, what separated them from the multitude is that they believed that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God, and the multitude thought that Jesus was just another prophet. That applies for us as a church as well. We believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. Those who are not part of the church, they don't believe it, or they might be able to parrot it, but they deep down do not believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. So what's the conclusion we can make? The conclusion is this: Jesus can use those who believe that he is the Christ, the Son of the living God, to build his church. He cannot use those who do not believe in him, who do not believe that he is the Son of the living God. Jesus will only use those who know and believe with all their heart that he is the Christ, the Son of the living God, to build the church. Whosoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him unto a wise man which built his house upon a rock. The rock is Jesus, the Christ, the Son of the living God. And we'll pick up with this in our next lesson.